Furious Driving, proud to be supported by Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the Furious fleet and for yours, with 10% off using code FD10. Follow the links in the description below. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving, and I hope you've had your cuteness shots, because I will not be held responsible for any incidents that occur from an overload of adorability looking at this delightful little AutoBianchi. In case you're not feeling sour enough already to cope with this overload of cute, have a spoonful of salt or stub your toe or something to get yourself in the right frame of mind to be overwhelmed by adorability. Now before we get going, this car is for sale at Stone Cold Classics, so check out their website in the link below. And if you like reviews of interesting and unusual cars, then please do check out the other reviews on the channel. Now on with the review. So what is this thing? It's a 1967 AutoBianchi Bianchina Panoramica. And so what's that, I hear you ask? Well, the answer is, if you wanted a Fiat 500 but it's just too common and not cute enough, then you need one of these. Under the skin is basically a Fiat 500 chassis and mechanical chunky bits, but reworked into this new and different car. There were a few model variations in the range. There was the Berliner, which is a saloon, the Cabriolet, which is a cabriolet, the Transformabile, which is a fixed B-pillar cabriolet, where the roof rolls back like on a modern canvas-roofed Fiat 500. Then of course there was a Furgoncino, which is a van-based one of these things. And this, the Panoramica, which is the station wagon. It's still only a two-door, but it does have a full opening rear end and 4 decent-sized seats. And if you're thinking this looks vaguely familiar, then you've probably seen one in Despicable Me 2. Lucy's car is loosely based on the Transformabile. I know I said that wrong. And the Bianchina was revealed on the 16th of September in 1957 at the Auto Show in Milan, just 2 months after the new Nuvoa Fiat 500. And they continued to build it right up until 1970. So who were AutoBianchi? They are in fact one of the oldest car companies around. It was started by Edoardo Bianchi in 1897 to build motorbikes, but by the 1920s he was building luxury cars. Unfortunately, his factory was bombed out of existence during the Second World War. However, by the 1950s, Fiat wanted an upmarket luxury niche boutique brand, so partnering with Pirelli in 1955 they created the new AutoBianchi to make these new boutique cars. So under the skin it is completely Fiat 500. That means drum brakes all round, fully independent suspension, and the engine is a 2-cylinder in the back. Initially it was a 479cc making 17.5 horsepower, and it changed variously through the models, going up to a staggering 499cc making 21 horsepower. And you shift gears with this 4-speed manual, which initially didn't have synchro but gained a bit of synchro mesh as time went on. But mechanically the big difference between this and a 500, at least in this one and the van, is that the engine, instead of being vertical with the spark plugs at the top of the engine like in a Fiat 500, it's laid over on its side. So the pistons are going from left to right on the bottom of the boot of the car, basically. And the previous owner of this car actually reckoned it's an awful lot smoother that way, bizarrely. No idea why. Now the gear change, I'm told might have synchro on this one, but you do need to be fully stopped before you can go into first gear, and I'm taking it very slowly between shifts as well to avoid any kind of grindage. In terms of performance, 0 to 60 is probably, and top speed is a maybe. But that's not really what these things are about. I've driven quite a few Fiat 500s and they do give the alarming feel that the front end might tuck under at any moment. However, this one doesn't feel too bad in that respect. Let's pull over and have a look around the outside. outside and the inside of the thing. So I want you to do a quick thing for me right now. Just appreciate how tiny this car is. You've seen a Fiat 500. This is basically an estate version of a Fiat 500, and it is so dinky I can cross it in like one step. That's the entire width of the car. But the styling on it is just adorable. I can't get over how cute this thing looks. The little round headlights like on a Mini make it have a cute big eye smiley face. Of course, this little fake grille, which is completely fake on the front, does give a slightly more sophisticated air to the front. It is flowing lines. This though gives it a slightly dashing moustache. Also, there are elements of big car design on here as well. These vertical dagger-like overriders with the rubber fronts, which actually continue into the front side lights, give it, well, it's a big car look. Likewise, down the side of the car, we've got this long swage line, which actually dips into a little point here ahead of the rear wheel and carries on into this rear fin. There are so many big car styling elements that make the car look like you're looking at something that's actually quite a long way away, when in fact it's just very small and close up. We've got the typical Fiat 500 front trunk, which is fairly useless. You've got your fuel tank over your knees, so please try not to crash. And a very small load area indeed. We've got the two-tone with hubcap 12-inch wheels, which, like on a Fiat 500, thanks to the trailing arms and the way all the geometry of it, always look like the rear wheels are tucking under kind of strangely. We've got wind-up windows on the front, but on the back, sliding rear windows, so at least you do have access to fresh air when you're crammed in the back with your 7 brothers and sisters. And this is a really fun little air intake just here. AutoBianchi. Basically, pressed tin. It's a very 1960s thing. I seem to remember a lot of 1960s things having this kind of stuff in it, and into the 70s as well for some reason. And also around the back of the car, again, we've got the fins, we've got the big car tail lights and these vertical dagger overriders, white painted bumpers. The contrast, again, little visual tricks to make the car look a little bit bigger than it actually is. And it is just such a great looking car. I need one of these to go with my villa in Italy, which I haven't got either. Right, now let's explore the interior of this beautiful little delight. Now, obviously it is left-hand drive. They were only made in left-hand drive, so you won't find a right-hand drive option unless someone has converted it. Door cards are very, very simple indeed. Because though this is a luxury version of the 500, it was quite a lot more expensive than the standard car. It has got a full vinyl door cover, whereas the Fiat would have had painted metal and body colour stuff. This is all concealed by vinyl. We even have a door pocket, tiny little metal door pull, and this opener for getting out is slightly odd because it doesn't really feel like anything's happening when you push it, but you push it forward to escape, and a window winder and a quarter light. So all the luxury's there, and a bit of stainless around the edge because we are in a luxury mobile. This being the station wagon, it is a 4-seater, and the seats, they don't lock, they just tip forward to get into the back, and you'll notice we have got a rubber floor, so nice and wiped clean. Even the luxury version, it is wiped clean. And we've got a couple of little things down here. First of all, we've got a heater control which diverts heat straight from the engine into channels to the front to give you heater, and of course we've got an ashtray because we have. And also, if you want to access the boot itself, that big tailgate, the release is down here. Incidentally, the rear seat bench is very well padded as well, really soft and squishy, just not a lot of leg room. The headroom though, quite impressive. Now I have had to get my widest lens out in order to film the interior of this car because it is narrow. That's me touching the door on my side, that's my elbow room. And that is me touching the other door without even having to stretch. There's not a lot of room in here. It is though very well appointed. We've got a vinyl top dashboard, no T-shelf to speak of, but vinyl and stainless trim, making it look very nice indeed. Ashtray, naturally. Only a few controls though. We've got a switch just here. I think that might be lights. A couple of warning lights. Switch just there, wiper switch just there. And then we've got a full width T-shelf underneath that dashboard, giving us plenty of storage for all our on-road snacking needs. We'll never go hungry in an AutoBianchi, which I think was probably their advertising slogan. Over in the corner, we've also got a squishy type windscreen washer button. Now your driver's instruments are not far away. They are really that small. That is literally the width of my fingers doing devil horns. The diameter of the speedo is smaller than my finger. That is just ridiculous. It goes up to 120 kph or kmh. We've got our dynamo warning light, our oil warning light. I love the fact it's all this lovely kind of grey and silver, and the numbers are printed on the back of the glass, so there's a little bit of a three-dimensional step away from the colour behind it. We've not got much here. We've got our 4,655 kilometre counter on the odometer, which is nothing. We've got our benzina, which is our fuel gauge, just here on the right hand side with them. Looks like a low fuel warning light as well. And 3 warning lights on the left. No more gauges, just warning lights for dynamo, which is your alternator, olio, oil, and luci, which means lights. Although when I tried to translate it a minute ago, it came up with luck, which is possibly more appropriate. That whole lot, made by Velia, is absolutely beautiful. We have got a bit of body colour here on the dashboard, but more as a feature rather than a necessity. Pulling back, we've got a very thin-rimmed, I was going to say large steering wheel, but that's only because I'm looking into the viewfinder of the camera. It's actually really small, like everything else. We've got a couple of controls on the stalks just there, and we've got the horn in the centre. Oh, that is a Fiat 500 with ideas above its station pop, but you still love it because it's so cute. Up above we have got a rear view mirror, and we've got sun visors as well, even with a vanity mirror on the passenger side. Absolutely amazing. And you can sort of see the construction of the car with this rail going around the top, so you can see how easy it would be to turn this into the convertible version. You can also see the seam, the joint if you like, where this goes from being the saloon to the station wagon, or possibly to one of the convertibles. And I assume this is factory sound deadening stuck onto the ceiling. Something you'll notice underfoot, apart from obviously the rubber flooring, is how offset the pedals are. Because the car is so tiny, the wheel well is here, sharing the cabin with you. The clutch is just there, quite a stiff clutch. Brake pedal in the middle, tiny, so not great for people with big feet. And on the right hand side, rather than being hung from the top like the other two, this is sprung from the bottom, is your little accelerator. Brum brum. Now there is what looks like a transmission tunnel. Obviously it's not. This is just here for strength and rigidity. Got our 4-speed manual gearbox, which previous owner has added this rather interesting Japanese style gear knob. Right, push down and back for reverse on this thing, otherwise 4 speeds. You might be confused by the 2 little dials down here, unless of course you've driven an early Volkswagen Beetle. The choker's on the left and the starter is on the right. Then a handbrake, and we are done. Let's have a look in the back. So I've pulled the little tag under the back seat. Now I can just lift up this tailgate and check out this original dealer's sticker from 1967. That is amazing. Casarotti and Viola, and pad over. This goes up and there is a little clickety lever thing like on an MGB bonnet. Then we've got a fairly decent sized boot. The rear seat back will unlatch and click forward, and we have a fully flat load space, which is so useful. And underneath this rubberized area here, we've got this wonderful little warning sticker in Italian, attenzione, warning, do not remove fuel pump and relevant line unless outlet pipe on tank has been first removed. I will bear that in mind. A couple of clickers, and up we go. And here we have that under 500cc engine lying on its side. And you can see the orientation of it because here are the spark plugs, and there is the carburettor. And those big Fiat bucks did mean they could access the designers from Fiat. So Luigi Rappi from the Fiat Special Vehicle Design Study Department stepped in and drew the beautiful little lines on this car. What a cute little car. Driving this car in modern traffic is a teeny bit worrying because it feels like you're so tiny and not desperately quick. You're just at everyone's mercy and you're kind of in the way. If you lived beside Lake Garda, for example, this would be perfect. I could not imagine a better day than driving down to the lakeshore to have some pasta and fresh fish caught straight from the lake, a glass of white wine, and just sit and watch the sun go down next to my beautiful little AutoBianchi. Why does it now sound like the window's open? The mirror is basically useless because it's angled in a way you can't see out the back at all. And we've got a little tiny mirror on the door, which is definitely about 30 years newer than the car. Can't see a great deal out of that either. and the steering is so insanely light that if you just breathe funny, the car changes direction. Now it's only got four-wheel drum brakes, which aren't always the best, but if we hit the brakes now, the back did try and overtake us a little, but we stopped pretty quickly. Apparently YouTube are incentivizing and rewarding long-form, extra-long videos, so maybe we'll try and do a 0 to 60 in a minute. I hope you've enjoyed this ride out in a stunning, beautiful little slice of cuteness. I want this in my house. I don't even care if I drive it, I just want to look at it every day. Please hit like and subscribe, and join us next time driving something completely different.